Good news on a Tuesday as Dan Campbell is not alone at electing just not to kick in the NFL. Let's do a Tuesday Locked On Lions and talk about it.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Matt Dery with you. It's a Tuesday edition of Locked On Lions right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, Tuesday, October 11th and Wednesday, October 12th. Thanks for making us your first listen each and every day and following us on Twitter at Dery Speaks, at Locked On Lions, on Facebook, the Matt Dery Facebook fan page, and on YouTube. Hello to our YouTube audience watching on Locked On Lions YouTube channel. Thanks for subscribing. And again, thanks for making us your first listen each and every day. Locked On Lions today is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. Coming up on today's show, yes, another kicker has been signed by the Lions to the practice squad. We'll get into that coming up momentarily. Also, if you watched the Monday Night Football game last night, you got a taste of what other coaches, not just not Matt Patricia. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Dan Campbell, not just Dan Campbell, is doing when it comes to fourth downs, the kicking game, and 1-point games, 2-point games, etc. We'll get into that momentarily as well. Power rankings for this week from our friends at Pro Football Talk and also ESPN.com. Where do the Lions sit as we enter week 6? Detroit is on a bye this week, as you know, so no Thursday crossover this week or anything like that. But we'll have a full week of shows, as we always do. We appreciate you being with us here as the 1-4 Lions will face the Cowboys in 2 weeks down in Dallas. That's kind of where I wanted to start today, and we'll sprinkle in a couple of guests this week that I'm working on right now. But, you know, Dan Campbell over the weekend in New England at Foxborough elected on numerous occasions to not kick the football, whether it was punting with Jack Fox, who Bill Belichick called a weapon before the game, and the Lions elected not to use that weapon, but that's neither here nor there. Or the money badger, Michael Badgley, his kicker. And, of course, the infamous 4th and 9 from the 32 would have been a 49-yard field goal, 6-0 game, second quarter. Lions elect to go for it. Goff fumbles. Patriots scoop and score, and that was really the ball game. Last night, if you watched the Monday Night Football game, you scratched your head and went, oh my gosh, it's not just Dan Campbell making these blunders as a head coach when it comes to kicking the football. The Chiefs last night go up by 7 and for some odd reason decide to go for 2 with about 4.5 minutes left to really put the game away instead of kicking the extra point and going up by 8. What do you need to go up? I guess going for 2 there for Andy Reid, if you get it, then you're up 2 scores. Okay. And I guess the thinking is, well, if the Raiders score, they're going to go for 2 anyway and try to go for the win, so we might as well really put the game away. But I thought it was a dumb decision. Analytics says go for 2 there, but if you go for 1 and you go up 8, the other team has to then score and get a 2-point conversion just to tie. If you miss there and the Raiders score a touchdown and get the 2-pointer, you lose. Okay. Keep that in mind. Raiders down 7. Score a touchdown. You know, this is it. Las Vegas is going to, tie the game. And what do the Raiders decide to do is after a bomb and a beautiful throw from Derek Carr to Devontae Adams, the Raiders elect to go for 2. At that point, there was 4 minutes to go. Let me correct myself. The Chiefs' touchdown was like 7 minutes to go. The Raiders' touchdown was 4 minutes left. Okay. 4 minutes left. Kick the extra point and tie the game. It's the 30-29. No. Josh McDaniels, who has Daniel Carlson, one of the best kickers in the game. He decides to go for two. They run up the middle with Josh Jacobs. Jacobs gets stuffed at the goal line by Chris Jones and that Chiefs defensive line. And the Chiefs are still winning. Again, they say, well, the analytics says, and I watched this on the postgame show last night on SVP, where they had Joe Buck and Troy Aikman on, and Troy Aikman kept saying, well, the analytics say you go for two there and get the lead. That's not what the analytics says. No, you tie the game right there. Then if you get a stop, which they got, you're either going to be tied and go to overtime if you don't score, or you're going to win with a field goal. What are you going for two there for? Killed their momentum, 30-29. They get a stop. Third down, Mahomes goes long for Hardman, missed the throw. Chiefs punt. Raiders get the ball. Again, now you're thinking, sweet, we're tied and we can... No, you're not tied. You're down one. Oh. And then on 4th and 1, the Raiders go for it. They were still in Kansas City territory, about 50 seconds left. And Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow collide on a terrible 4th and 1 call. They were going for a home run ball. Incomplete, game over. What was Josh McDaniels thinking? What was he doing? What was your thinking there? Now, again, he said after the game, we're going for the win. We're aggressive. Analytics say you got to get two at some point. Well, you didn't have to get two because Reed screwed up originally. And again, also, let's not forget, the Raiders led the game last night 17-0. Here's the bottom line of why I'm bringing this up on Locked On Lions. Dan Campbell is not alone. Has Dan Campbell done a good job? No, he's 4-17-1 in 2 years so far, in one and a quarter seasons. All right, that's not going to work. He's got a 6-year contract. He's got a rebuilding team and a rebuilding roster and injuries. All right, I'll cut him a little slack. But these head coaches in the NFL now, with the overdoing it, the overthinking it, the thinking of over-aggressiveness. What did Bill Belichick do this week, late in the game, when the Patriots knew on 4th down that they had a lead? He wasn't going for it and being Riverboat Ron or any. He kicked the football. 4th and short a couple of times. He took the points. He's got Nick Folk. Now, the Lions kicking situation has been an utter embarrassment for 2 seasons. So I get why maybe Campbell was hesitant to go to Badgley. But you got to see if he can kick. It's a 6-point game. Josh McDaniels has Daniel Carlson tie the football game. Cost him the game last night. Could have gone to overtime once they were stuffed on 4th and 1. Or they would have punted, pinned the Chiefs deep. The game would have gone to overtime anyway. At least you would have still been playing. McDaniels going for 2 was so dumb, it cost them the game. Dan Campbell and some of his overly aggressive decision-making on 4th downs, especially the Minnesota game, probably cost the team the game. So this is not something that's just going on here in Detroit. I don't know why some of these coaches, I don't understand why some of these coaches in 2022 now, I get being aggressive. The 2-point play is a big play in the game now. It's become more of a factor. Teams that have struggling kickers are going for 2 more consistently. But 6-0 second quarter, a little momentum. See what Badgley can do. You kick there. You don't go for it on 4th and 9. And last night, same thing. 2-point conversion, or to tie the game with an extra point with 4 minutes to go on the road at Arrowhead. That's what you do. Did not make a whole lot of sense to me last night. Want to tell you about our friends at BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one source for football betting info this season. Find all the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth articles and analysis on every game you can find. MLB playoffs is underway. ALDS, NLDS tonight. You want the information on the games and the games going on this afternoon. Live betting, you can do it at BetOnline. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games, all the lines, including, like I said, MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to betonline.net or use your mobile device to learn more. I was looking up the point spread today for Michigan and Penn State. Figured out Michigan's a 7-point favorite. How did I do it? I went to betonline.net. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, making us your first listen, whether you're watching on YouTube or whatever you're doing. We appreciate you doing that. Locked On Lions Tuesday edition here. Lions with a bye week this week, so we won't hear that old joke. I remember when I was working at WDFN many, many years ago, John Bloom, who's now one of the radio voices of the Phoenix Suns. John was working at Sports Radio 1130 with us and was doing updates one day. And every year when the Lions had a bye, John would always say the same thing. Lions won't lose this week. They're on a bye. It's an old joke, but it still reigns supreme in this neck of the woods, as the Lions, of course, have lost 3 in a row. Power rankings. Look this up today on ESPN.com. How bad is it right now for Detroit? How bad is it right now for our Lions, sitting at 1-4? Where do they rank with the experts? Went to ESPN.com today. Wanted to take a look. Where do you think the Lions rank? There are 32 NFL teams. Are the Lions the worst team in the NFL? No, they're not. And both Pro Football Talk and ESPN.com have the Carolina Panthers at number 32. They are 1-4. And they're going to lose Baker Mayfield, it appears, for a few weeks. And Sam Darnold is already hurt. So P.J. Walker will get the start in their next game for Carolina. They are ranked number 32, last in the league. By the way, great note from our crack research staff. You know who you are. The last NFL team to be shut out by another team whose quarterback was making their NFL debut, because the Lions were shut out, first NFL start, I should say. Bailey Zappi made his first NFL start, and the Lions lost 29-0. Guess who was the last team to be shut out by a quarterback making their first NFL start? You guessed it, the Lions in 2020 in Carolina against that man, P.J. Walker, and the Panthers. Only the Lions. All right, Washington comes in at number 31. Commanders also 1-4, and the Lions beat them. At number 30, third last in the ESPN Power Rankings, your Detroit Lions, last week 25, this week 30. Eric Woodyard writes, quote, "Let's be real, from a talent perspective, this team doesn't have a lot of game-changing players on defense. And through 4 weeks, the Lions accomplished something that no other team in league history has done since the 1970 merger, when they led the NFL in points per game while ranking last in points per game allowed. That's a problem." Defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn says they struggle with consistency in defending the red zone. Also, Glenn feels the interior defense has been solid, but the Lions are now focusing on improving the perimeter defense, mainly in the secondary. Did you really say the interior defense has been solid, like the D tackles? I don't see it. There's a lot of work to be done, and the coaches are taking accountability, but securing a postseason spot for the first time since 2016 is far in the distance. Ahead of the Lions at 29, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are a complete mess. Houston, Chicago, Las Vegas, and the Colts at 25. Top 5 in the power rankings: Chiefs, Bills, Eagles, Vikings, Cowboys. Dallas will go to Philadelphia for Sunday Night Football this coming week. Folks, there's no real argument for me on where the Lions sit from a power rankings perspective. It is extremely disappointing. It is not something that is by any means acceptable. Hang on, I got a little power cord issue I'm going to fix here. It's brutal. And Carolina's terrible, and Washington's terrible. We knew they would be. The other day, Ron Rivera threw Carson Wentz under the bus. Pittsburgh is a lot worse than we thought, although with their quarterback situation, it's bad. But this is kind of where the Lions sit right now. Any diehard fans arguing that they're not the third worst team in the NFL right now? Heck, the Bears have won 2 games. Chicago's no good. Justin Fields hasn't played all that well. But they've won 2 games. they've looked better than the Lions have. The Lions defense is atrocious. And this past weekend, the offense got shut out. Now, New England's got a good, solid defense. They're pretty good. Matthew Judon and some of those guys are pretty darn good, but that wasn't the 85 Bears the Lions were playing. That wasn't the early 2000s Ravens the Lions were playing as far as defenses. It's very disappointing. And it's hard to argue where the team sits right now in the hierarchy of the NFL. And as I said yesterday, the opportunity right now for this football team in front of them is going to be difficult. They need to win some games. And Dallas, Miami, and Green Bay are your next three opponents. That's why the schedule, which I think has been pretty good for the Lions, but that's why I thought 7 wins, because I thought the schedule there was going to be some gimmies on there, and there still are. The Lions should beat the Bears. The Lions should beat Carolina. Why can't the Lions beat Jacksonville at home? I know the Jaguars are improved, but I'm throwing it out there. The NFC is not chock full of world beaters here. Philadelphia is 5-0, and I said it in the power rankings. They're not even in the top 2. Dallas is really playing well defensively, but are you terrified of Cooper Rush in a couple of weeks, or Dak Prescott coming back from injury, or that receiving core? I'm not. Or 55-year-old Zeke Elliott? He's fine. But you had an opportunity over the last few weeks to get some wins. You blew the game against Minnesota. It was a game that was so winnable. And then being home for Seattle and then playing a Patriots team with a third-string quarterback that you coached at the Senior Bowl. It's disappointing. It really is. So I think number 30 for both PFT and ESPN is spot on. All right, the kicking situation is getting interesting. Again, the Lions have added a kicker to the practice squad. We'll tell you who that is coming up next. Fall is chaos in your pants. You heard me. You're overheating 1 second, freezing the next. To be ready for anything, you need underwear that can handle everything. It's time for Tommy John underwear. Tommy John underwear, you're going to be that much more comfortable. You can do everything better. Name a problem with other underwear, and Tommy John's has solved it. Tommy John's breathable, lightweight fabric has 4 times the stretch of competing brands. They come with a no wedgie guarantee thanks to a non-rolling waistband and legs that never ride up. Isn't that the best? Putting on a pair of tight pants or jeans and not worrying about you're pulling your underwear down. Plus, they feature a horizontal, if I could speak, quick draw fly. With over 17 million pairs sold, people love Tommy John underwear. I got it. It's great. That's why Tommy John doesn't have customers. They've got fanatics. Seriously. I'm loving wearing my Tommy John underwear because it just feels better and doesn't bunch up in your jeans. It's great. Plus, everything's back with Tommy John's best pair you'll ever wear, or its free guarantee. Here's what you do. Go to TommyJohn.com/lockedon right now for 20% off your first order. 20% off at TommyJohn.com/lockedon. That's TommyJohn.com/lockedon. See site for details. All right, last week we told you that the Lions had brought in a couple of kickers, the guy Liam with the weird name from the Cowboys, and also Sam Ficken, ex of the Green Bay Packers, the Cowboys, the Tennessee Titans, the Jets. Sam Ficken has made the rounds. Northwestern. Sam Ficken has been signed today to the practice squad. Here's a funny nugget on Sam Ficken. Sam Ficken won the kicking job in Tennessee to start the season last year for the Titans, only to get injured before the first game. The Titans then put Michael Badgley out there, and he was so bad that they got rid of him. Then they signed Randy Bullock, who, of course, the Lions got rid of last season, before the season, during training camp. Badgley is now the Lions kicker. Ficken and him are reunited as the Lions again are trying somebody new at the kicking position. There's going to be a quiz. Bottom line is they got to let Michael Badgley in 2 weeks in Dallas kick. Let him kick. Let's see what he can do. Let's see what the money badger can do. He's had some success with the Chargers. He kicked 4 field goals 2 weeks ago for the Bears. Let him kick. If it's 4th and 3 from the Dallas 34, can I see him try a 51-yarder? Please. Can we not go for it every time and throw a 3-yard out? But Ficken is here. He's been on a bunch of teams. He flamed out with the Jets. And again, you've got that Kevin Bacon game situation with Tennessee. But the Lions have been through too many kickers over the last 2 years. And the Matt Prater situation, however you want to slice it, it should never have gotten to this point. Before 2021, after the 2020 season, when Brad Holmes got the job, Matt Prater should have been brought back, whether you're rebuilding or not. You got the same money the Lions offered, from what I was told, by Arizona. They just offered a second year. Because whether it's Randy Bullock, Matthew Wright, Aldrich Rosas, Ryan Santoso, Riley Patterson, Austin Seibert, Sam Ficken, Michael Badgley, the list has gone on and on. They've been through and rotated through too many kickers. Pick one and go with it. Or if you don't like where the direction it's going, draft one, like the Browns did. Now, Cade York hit one game-winning field goal, and this past week he missed one. But go out and fight, Sam Ficken did spend some time with the Rams, by the way, when Brad Holmes was there. So there's your Rams connection. All right. That's it for the Tuesday edition of Locked On Lions. Thanks for watching and listening, everybody. We're back again tomorrow.